Right, guys. Hey, it's Kate with Kate's Regretless Life. Let's get into this. We're going to do another storytelling here for um, signs and symbols. We start out with evolution, and this could be the evolution of a romance, obviously. We have the Duchess, we have enslavement in the reverse, which is actually really nice to see. So we've got somebody who could be sensing, feeling, even like we have possibly the Duchess is an ancestor who's kind of wishing great love on someone that she oversees. I feel like the Duchess in this case is someone's like grandmother figure, ancestor. She even is coming from a different time and different location as well. This looks very like Victorian era perhaps, or even earlier, I suppose, really. But I'm going to say that someone may receive a message like from what they perceive to be, you know, a spirit that watches over them, a grandmother energy, somebody that's encouraging them. She could have been a trailblazer. If somebody knows that a family member was a trailblazer in their own time, you know, they chose love, they married for love, not money, during a time when that's not what you did, or someone may feel more connected to an ancestor or find something out about an ancestor. That could be one of the signs and symbols of this, maybe even just like of this timeline, not even like a day specifically, but it may come at a time when our character most needs the encouragement to free themselves from any kind of like feeling of no, I probably shouldn't, I feel guilty, the family won't approve, or whatever is going on with a relationship that clearly there's love here, but it's like someone's almost been fighting a romance. This could be our masculine has been fighting a romance with somebody that they're in love with, and they're realizing that they get some message from an ancestor. A crane or heron flying overhead could be something that a character sees. A pot-bellied wood stove could be important, possibly a wicker chair. Also, statues, or even like historical. I feel like history books or things that have happened in history, or something like coming across a channel on television that's about a time period piece in history, that could also be one of the symbols for this character in this storyline, that is like the reassurance or the message from the ancestors saying, hey, why don't you do what's right for you instead of what's right for everybody else. We have got Famio sideways, we have got Logic, and we've got Mayoress of Fire. Okay, definitely with the fireplace coming out twice, somebody could either smoke, or they like to use that term like something's fire when they like something, but it could also be that somebody has a fireplace in their home, or they really like campfires and whatnot. It might just be that they're drawn to anything that brings light and warmth, and that could be a reflection of what they need in their life right now. If they've had a life that's cold logic, and this is really starting to make me think that we have a divine masculine specifically whose ancestors were like trend breakers and would be very supportive and say, do not let yourself resist loving someone for logical reasons. Why would you resist love when you're so drawn like a moth to a flame? By the way, a woman that he's interested in, it doesn't matter what gender, but right now we have a feminine as his love interest. She comes across as a Queen of Wands, which is usually our most well-dressed queen, very attractive queen as a whole. But she could be someone who is quite glamorous, not overdressed or overdone, but certainly very glamorous. And that could come across, some of the reasons that he's so drawn to her could certainly be her beauty, but it's mostly is her inner warmth. She could be a dancer or have dance in her background also. She looks kind of like almost a ballet dancer or a performer of sorts. But this logical mind gets in the way. This could be somebody that they could wear contact lenses also, just as a side note, because he does have very notable eyes, or could even be somebody whose eyes change color. Like a hazel to green, or the brown eyes that turn gold, or blue eyes that turn green, something like that. Dark eyes to like light brown, just very, very notable eyes. But it could also be that his eyes follow her. wherever he goes. And he's been fighting with himself, and he's about to get a message from his ancestor that says, what are you doing? Why are you fighting? Loving somebody that you're recognizing your heart is with her. So why don't you do the brave thing? Do what I did in my life. Break free of enslavement. Choose who you really love. Choose the life that you want. Who cares about what the rest of the world says? This Femio message here coming out sideways, it almost feels like there's some kind of like expectation because of like the prominence of his situation or his family or his life or something about heck, maybe she's the one who's famous and he's like, I can't move toward her, you know, I don't have that kind of money. She comes from a famous background, or she is famous in her own right. I said she could be like a performer or something. This could be that he's been telling himself again and again why he couldn't possibly move toward someone that he loves, who loves him in return, because look at their social status differences. That energy of fame, he may be concerned that like if she has a father figure or something, that they wouldn't approve of him, perhaps. It doesn't seem anything here about him saying, oh, I can't be with her because, oh, he's worried he'll be like a charity case. Like if she says that she loves me, it'll probably just be because, you know, she doesn't want to hurt my feelings or something like that. No. Swans mate for life. We definitely see she could be an actress, or she could be somebody who's like, you know, quite well known in her own circle. You know, to be famous, you can be famous in your own small hometown, and still somebody that you went to high school with can be intimidated by you. You know, humans are fond of creating these invisible pecking orders and social strata that exists only in their head, typically. But you know, we can use those ideas to prevent ourselves from feeling good enough to go after what we want. And that's what's happening in his case. He really loves her, but is thinking, I'm not, you know, she's famous, I'm not, or she's something more than what I am, and every time I think about it, I don't see how it'll work. I don't want to be her charity case. Which is really him deciding already that her love couldn't be real, which is kind of a rude thing to say. Like that almost says, oh, so she's somehow shallow. And we know he doesn't mean it that way, but he definitely, that's what he's afraid of, is that, you know, if she has a lot more money than him, for example, is it going to be one of those things where she's, you know, in this finery, she's very well to do, and he can't, you know, buy the fancy clothes or have enough money to go to fancy places the way she can? Is that what this boils down to? Is like, he doesn't want it to be a discrepancy between their earnings. This could be all about money. The thing is, we have Venus and we have Two of Cups. These two are very much in love. She loves him. By the way, she wears pink or peach quite a lot, it looks like. Look, I don't think she has any hang-ups over this. And even the energy of Venus is coming in, like, you know, Goddess herself is coming in to say, this is a divine union. You two will figure out, you know, your hearts are equal. Who cares about your bank accounts? But the two of you can build something. When you put yourselves together, he's going to bring a lot to the table, just like she does, that will allow them to blossom more together as a unit. The carved head of a lion, or some carving over a doorway, some very ornate doorway, could be also really important, because we have an arched doorway on both of these. Somebody could have arched doorways in their home. They could have some little carvings of Cupid, or, you know, hang things like over their doorway for adornment, perhaps. But those arched doorways are really important in this. To me, they really stand out. So those could be other symbols. It's definitely, they're going to have to walk through this doorway to ever get these two to be together. They have, you know, you have to leave behind this idea that there's no way, it wouldn't work. I don't have the same finances that she does, and I don't want to be her charity case. I'm not famous like she is. I don't want to be that. He's got to stop thinking about that and just walk through that doorway of saying, but I love her and she loves me. If that can be the doorway that they walk through. By the way, she could be wearing purple on purple as well. This is like plum and then a deep royal purple, perhaps. God, I feel like these two had to have been married in a past life. That's what I would say. I think that this is a really big love story, that they've been together in a past life, and in this lifetime they're trying to fight how they feel. But thankfully we have this brilliant ancestor who's on the other side of the veil, who is like coming in to remind them, remember, I was brave. I went ahead and I went after whomever I wanted. Maybe an ancestor married someone like beneath their station, you know, someone, because she looks very wealthy. Maybe she also married somebody in her time that was, you know, she married for love, not for money. We've got this Ace of Fire and the Zeitgeist. It is time to change this obsession with, you know, finances and imagining that that's the defining factor between whether or not, you know, people who love each other can be successful. This is like the era that needs to take place now, where it's about, you know, how does your heart feel? Go after the person that you love, go after the thing that you love, and trust that together you can kind of like change the world. If he used more of his logical mind, also some kind of stained glass or geometric, like New Age art could be important as well. Or even like a sign that is kind of like funky and modern. Like I'm picturing like a bistro sign or a restaurant or cafe sign that has like some modern art style block lettering on it. But this is a really good time for him to use that logical mind and say, maybe it is ridiculous to let there be blockages to something like love when it doesn't change how the heart feels. And isn't that more important? Because, okay, so say he ignores her, says, I can't be with you, even though I love you, you love me, because I just don't have the money. So what, she's supposed to go marry somebody that she doesn't love? Does he really think that's going to be a happier life for her? If you want her to be happy because you love her, she's going to be happier with you than with somebody else. So it almost feels like he could change this whole concept if he looks at it from a slightly different, like, what would he, you notice that this person has a mask on, and it's like, pretend it's not you, and say, what advice would you give to a friend if he was in love with somebody who was also in love with him? What would you tell that friend? Would you say, well, even though you two are in love, you know, you should stay away from her. She should marry somebody other than you because, hey, she makes more on a paycheck, or her family's wealthier than yours. Like, he probably wouldn't say that to a friend, so why would he say that to himself? He needs to use his logical mind to grill himself on the most important question. If it weren't you, what advice would you give? And we can see his advice would be, oh no, you go after the person that you want. Somebody could be eating fondue or wanting to roast marshmallows, or even testing like a dipstick on their car. There's an element here of, make sure that there's nothing flammable though. You know, don't wave flammable things around in the air, or be careful if it's like about a food item, like testing to see if a cake is done or something. You know, don't accidentally, you know, touch your wrist or the hem of your clothing to like a hot burner or something, because that's a lot of flame. So there is a little bit of a, like, go for the sweet stuff, choose to follow your heart, but obviously do it wisely, you know? And so what if he's going to wind up, maybe she already owns a house, maybe he doesn't. That's great. Now they have two incomes and a house that's already purchased. They start off life more grounded. Think of how much more they can grow so swiftly together. It really feels like he just has to get out of his own head. And if he can picture it that it wasn't him in this conundrum, I think he knows what the right answer is. But he's just got to give himself the same advice that he would give somebody else. Because I think that these two were married in a past life. I think that these two love each other in this lifetime. And I think the only thing preventing this is his own worries about financial discrepancy, which is really ridiculous. So anyway, I'm always cheering for these characters. All right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. If you don't already know this, I do all the zodiacs as well. You can find any zodiac that you might be looking for under the playlist that I have for each zodiac, or you can just go to the live tab and you will find, I mostly live stream. So you will find most all of my content under the live video tab, or like I said, under the playlists. This is the only content, these ones that I put out at 5 a.m. These are the only ones that you will find under the video tab, just because I upload them differently. But thank you guys. I really appreciate you being here. Take care. Bye.